Part 2. You will hear part of a talk about a bank robbery that was discovered by Robert Rowlands in London in 1971. For each question, write the correct answer in the gap. You will hear the recording twice.
On September 1st, 1971, at around 1 a.m., Robert Rowlands was at home in Wimpole Street, London, tuning in his radio to the popular station Radio Luxembourg. However, Radio Luxembourg didn't come through his speakers. What did provided both him and the police with something extremely surprising. Rowlands had unexpectedly picked up radio conversations about a bank robbery in progress. But which bank and where? Once Rowlands realised what he'd discovered, he called the police. The officer he spoke to thought he was joking and politely suggested that if Rowlands heard any more suspicious talk, he should record it. So Rowlands did just as the policeman asked. When he called a second time, he insisted that it was a major robbery. This time, detectives visited his home to listen to the tape. What they heard caused a major search operation. It was clear the robbery was still in progress, and if they moved quickly enough, the police stood a good chance of finding the bank and catching the robbers. The thieves had targeted a branch of Lloyd's Bank, intending to break into it and take away as much as possible in the time available. Well, the theory may have been simple, but the practice wasn't. Just to reach the bank, the robbers had to rent a nearby shop, break through the shop's floor to a depth of almost 2 meters, dig several meters under a fast food restaurant, then dig back up, break through the thick floor of the bank, steal what they could, and then escape back the way they'd come. All this had to be done without setting off any of the bank's security devices or attracting any public attention while digging the tunnel. Such a robbery was simply unheard of in the UK in 1971. The police estimated that it took the gang almost 3 months to carry out their plan. It required great technical skill. What makes it unusual is that the robbers themselves were not high-level expert criminals. The Baker Street robbery involved 4 main individuals. All the men were known to the police, but none had a reputation for something as complex as this. Police suspected, but were never able to prove, that the crime was actually organised by another London criminal, whose identity was never discovered. The robbers had someone acting as a lookout, and they stayed in contact via walkie-talkies, handheld two-way radios. These devices operated on public frequencies, which wasn't very secure, as anyone could listen in. The chances of it happening were fairly small, though while interest in these radios was growing, they were still illegal to use in 1971. Rowlands explained to the police that the range of walkie-talkies was quite short, so the robbers couldn't be more than 3 or 4 kilometres from his home in Wimpole Street. Baker Street is indeed within 3 kilometres of Wimpole Street. If it had been acted on, Rowlands' information would certainly have made it far more likely that the gang would have been caught during the robbery. But it wasn't acted on. The police decided to investigate approximately 750 banks in the area around Rowlands' home. It wasn't until the Monday morning that the Baker Street bank manager entered the bank and found a man-sized hole in the middle of the floor. The police were made to feel very embarrassed. One small detail helped to solve the case. Desmond Wolfe, a minor criminal, had rented the shop the gang used as a base under his own name. Once the police had him, they looked for Wolfe's known criminal contacts, especially those with records for burglaries who weren't already in prison. Soon, Anthony Gavin, Thomas Stevens, and Reginald Tucker were under arrest and being questioned. In January 1973, All 4 men were found guilty of stealing items worth more than £3 million at today's prices. Wolfe only got a sentence of 8 years due to his age, while the younger Gavin, Stevens and Tucker got 12 years each. Not a single item of stolen property from the Baker Street robbery has ever been found.